Okay, so a number of people have asked me my thoughts on the budget, so let's quickly go through it. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you that this year, 2018, Theresa May said in the Conservative Party political conference that she was going to end austerity. That was it. We are done with austerity. We've suffered enough, and it's time to move on. She didn't use the word suffered because why would she? But at the time I thought that sounds great. But it probably won't happen because Theresa May says a lot of great things, but her actions directly contradict what she says. I also want to point out that when government changes, policies don't change immediately. So when Theresa May first took over, it wasn't all Theresa May, it was still David Cameron, especially with the snap election. And the best example I can give to this is America. The US economy has done fairly well, but it's not done well because of Donald Trump. It's done well because of Obama, because of the things that he put in place that have now run their course. At best, Trump has stagnated it. That being said, there are things that are immediate. So again, using America as the best example because that's more widely known, Trump's tariffs, they are immediate. And as soon as he implemented them, a number of companies like Harley Davidson came out and said, look, we want to stay in America, but if this carries on, then we're going to be moving very, very soon because we cannot afford these tariffs. We can't cope, so we'll be moving to Europe. Of course, Trump being Trump, blamed them, and this is not a Trump video. Blood pressure down. Okay, so back to the budget. It's important. It is important to note that it's still running on the Conservatives, so not everything horrific, not every attack on the people has been because of Theresa May. It's also because of David Cameron and George Osborne and their budget. But now we've seen exactly what Theresa May intends and exactly what Philip Hammond has put forward. His budget, Theresa May's budget, their exact plans and intent. So what does it break down to? Well, it is not the end of austerity, not by a long shot. They are cutting the NHS again. They are cutting education again. We've already had reports in the last few months saying that schools dotted around the country aren't getting enough money to keep them open for a full 5 days. And yet, they're now losing even more money. General public service gone. Fire and rescue being cut. And even the police force. I read this morning that the police unions are now thinking about suing the government because of these unbelievable cuts that they're facing to the police force. Theresa May has already been told, point blank, you cut the police force, it will leave us open to attacks, which then led us open to attacks. But no, it carries on. So this is not the end of austerity. This is not the end of the bad times. This is not Theresa May fulfilling her promise to the working families. This is the status quo. This is Tories as Tories. This is make life as hard as possible for the people on the bottom while all of the money goes directly to the top. Now, I'm quite proud. I will proudly say that I'm a socialist because socialism stripped back to what it actually means is resources owned by the public. Education is a resource. It should be owned by the public. Education should be given to everyone. And yet for reasons only the Tories have, despite the fact that everyone pays into education, that everyone pays taxes, that everyone pays for everyone's education, that money's not actually going to our schools. It's going towards private schools that we don't all benefit from. Money towards the police service doesn't go towards the police service. It gets stripped back. I've already said before, the NHS is fully funded, but it's not being given the money that we pay towards it. And taxes haven't gone down. They've just gone up. Wages have not kept with inflation, and that is why so many people are living in poverty. 4 million children living in poverty because the Conservative government refuses to actually help the people, because they insist on only helping the wealthy. We don't have a democracy, we have a plutocracy. A country for the wealthy, by the wealthy. If you're not, it's a sad day for you and me. But the basic underlying tone of Philip Hammond's, his budget, Theresa May's budget, is things aren't looking up. Things are going to get a lot harder. You pay more in taxes, you earn less than retrospectively what we did 30, 40 years ago, and the result is they just don't care. It's a horrible state, but that's why people need to get out and vote. I get that people don't like Jeremy Corbyn, but look at what he's saying and look at what he's done throughout his political career. While Theresa May was snarling with the rest of the scumbags demanding Nelson Mandela be hung, Corbyn was out in the streets protesting his freedom and getting arrested for it. While people in Parliament were laughing at the idea that women should have equal rights, he was out protesting that they get equal rights. While Jacob Rees-Mogg voted against any protection against the average worker, the average person in the UK, when it comes to nasty landlords, when it comes to nasty loan deals, when it comes to anything that could be detrimental towards the people, Corbyn has been right there fighting for us. I get some people don't like him, fine, but look at the alternatives. And not voting is not an alternative, because that leads to where we are today. That leads to a multi-millionaire telling people at the bottom that they're just not working hard enough when they refuse to raise wages in line with inflation, and then tell us it's our fault that we're losing our NHS. That we should absolutely be prepared to sell out everything to get that one deal with the one country that can't be trusted. That's the budget. And that's the situation that we're in.